The movie we just saw was Argylle, featuring hit names like Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, Samuel J. Rockwell, Samuel L. Jackson, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Did you say John Cena?
Oh, I forgot John Cena was in there.
Did you say Mrs. McAllister or whatever her name
Ah,
is?
yep, Kevin's mom from Home Alone. I do not know her actual name. What we're going to do, we're going to give you a quick little rundown of the movie. No spoilers in this first section. What we thought of it, and then we'll kind of go into spoilers. But before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Bryce Dallas Howard plays an author, writer of spy novels, and she writes this book series called Argylle. And it's centered around all these spies and espionage and all that. Somehow they're based on real espionage, real spies, and real covert operations in the world. There's bad people who want to be after her. They think that she has like this power to predict the future based on her writing abilities and whatnot. So Sam Rockwell comes to save her, and all kinds of hijinks and shenanigans ensue. So with that being said, Chris, what did you think of the film? No spoilers.
It's got Matthew Vaughn just splooshed on it, you know? It's rubbed in there, seasoned, pat down dry, and it's got a great cast. And if you know anything about me, I love me some Samuel J. Rockwell.
I am right there with you.
He's probably my favorite actor. Not a huge fan of Bryce Dallas Howard. I honestly can't really think of any movie that I loved her in per se. But then you got, star-studded. I think that's always a bonus. It's an action comedy, which I typically enjoy. But on the negatives is it's not super funny and it's not very good at action. Like if you compare it to Kingsman, the action's not as good and it's not as
Yeah.
funny.
If we're comparing it to his other work like Kingsman, I think that's his top tier. Kingsman was
And
great. It's funny, had really good action. If we're talking church sequence, nothing
oh
compares to
yeah,
that.
great
I don't
scene.
think he's done. I don't think he's done anything as close to that sequence in terms of action. Nothing in this action comes close to that. It's hard to put a rating on this one because I had a good time. My wife actually really loved this movie because it had your boy Henry in it, which I'm never adverse to seeing his face on the big screen. But it was slightly middling, maybe just a little bit above middling for me, just because it was a lot longer than I had anticipated. And there are some things in there, we'll get into spoiler territory later, but that I didn't really fully connect with. But yeah, I would say if we're just putting on Matthew Vaughn movies, below Kingsman, above, actually, is it above any of his other movies?
I don't think it's not better. I don't think it's probably his worst movie I've seen. Honestly, I might put Stardust.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
Not terrible, but just like not great.
Yeah, if you were asking me, should you watch it in theaters?
Probably
No.
not. No, yeah.
Friday night, got nothing to watch. It's on Netflix.
Sure.
Pop a cold one, throw it on. Who am I to stop you? Probably could have cut 30 to 45 minutes and it would have been better in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If you know another thing about me is I like a nice clean hour 30 movie.
Mm-hmm.
No more, no less, just straight to the point. And in a movie like this, you don't really need
You don't need
that
that
much
much. Yeah.
plot. Give me that more action, give me more of that comedy. So,
Yeah. If they would have focused more on the comedy and action as opposed to, they kind of over explain some of the story elements where I'm like, all right, it's dragging a little bit for me. Yeah, I would actually put Stardust a little bit above this one because of that.
I think I would as well.
Well, with that being said, spoiler alert coming in here. We're going to talk about the bad things that maybe go into detail about what we didn't really like about it. And then we're going to talk about the good things from it. So,
Going off of the longer runtime than needed,
mm-hmm.
one of my bad here is just the constant cuts to Henry Cavill from Sam Rockwell to every time she blinks, it goes back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. And after a minute, we get it. But they probably,
Yeah.
what, 15 minutes of the movie of just this thing, like throughout the whole movie of switching back and forth. It was
Well,
making me
listen,
sick.
you pay for Henry. You got to use him wisely. He's an
Yeah.
expensive man now, so I understand where they came from, but no, I totally agree with you. I was like, all right, I get it. Then I have to keep doing that. It was kind of a little annoying. Going off with that, do you want to explain the twist?
Yeah, let's explain the Shyamalan twist. So you got Dallas Howard, Bryce
Bryce,
Dallas
yep.
Howard.
Mm-hmm.
She plays Ellie Conway, I
Mm-hmm.
believe her name is. And yeah, you think she's just some kind of dweeb, little writer, kind of a, anxiety, gotta all that type of stuff. But you go on, and the first twist is she's being chased by these evil corporation. I forget what they're called. Corporation, what
Division or
division? I think,
something? Yeah.
yeah, division. Sam Rockwell's character, who is first twist is you think he's a good guy, and she overhears him on the phone, and he's saying, "We gotta kill this, or we gotta, I'm done with her." And then
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Oh man, he's actually a bad guy."
Mm-hmm.
First twist, and then she calls, her mother,
Kevin McAllister's mom.
Kevin's mom, as you do, and she's like, "Hey, I'm on. I can't. I don't have a secure line here. I'm on a payphone, but go to this hotel that we went to. Parents show up at this hotel, and the main bad guy, you got a Spider-Man Homecoming situation
Mm.
where you open the door, Bryan Cranston, who the
He's
first
the
hour
division
of the
boss.
movie you know him as the main division boss, and you're like, oh man, we got a Darth Vader, I'm your father situation.
So that was a pretty big
Yeah,
twist, I thought.
that
Um,
was that was people in the theater were like, what the? Oh my!
Jaws dropped in my
Yeah.
theater.
There was
I
actually, guess how many people were in this whole theater? There's probably about 80 seats. Guess how many were there?
10.
There was three people, two of which I went with, and some random guy.
Oh
That
man.
was it. And this was Thursday. This was the only showing on the opening night.
That twist actually worked because I didn't see it coming. Seeing, you build up to this the whole movie, the first third or so, you see Bryan Cranston as this big bad. He's doing his best Lex Luthor audition tape here, trying to be intimidating and everything. It didn't work at all for me just because I see him as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, and I'll
Oh,
always
yeah.
see him as Hal. But the twist was good because when he opened that door, I didn't see it happening. But to piggyback off that, there's a second twist that happens, and you Sam Rockwell busts down the door, and he's got Bryan Cranston at gunpoint, and Bryce Dallas Howard's freaking out, and Kevin McAllister's mom's freaking out, and then Kevin McAllister's mom pulls a gun on Bryce Dallas Howard. Second twist, she's in on it too, and that one didn't really work for me.
And she had a British accent. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, another layer that didn't work for me. From there, it kind of like meanders for a good 40 minutes because you have to go through this huge, long exposition dump and explain that Ellie Conway, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, is actually the secret agent. Her name is Ryan Kyle or Rachel Kyle. And so her name is Agent R. Kyle. Funny little, play on words there. And so what's happened here is she got in an accident. Bryan Cranston and Kevin McAllister's mom brainwashed her into believing that she's just this lowly, anxiety ridden writer to get her secrets out of her subconscious to write these books about Agent Argylle. And so it's this whole big thing. And it was way too much exposition. I thought it was a little clever, but I'm like, all right, I get it. Like, you don't need to keep explaining it to me. What do you think about that?
Thought it was a unique twist that, oh, she's actually this agent, but I think it's like once they say it, like, you get it. You don't need
Yeah.
to do a whole 40 minutes going through all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was kind of a lull until the twist, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinions, because like, true, there's action, and like on paper it should be somewhat like exciting, entertaining, but for like
It
the
not
first
always is.
hour I was kind of just like, when's something gonna like happen here,
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
I want comedy, more action. So that's kind of where it picks up, probably what, second half of the movie, when you get all these twists here.
Yeah. So piggybacking off of that, the action, seeing Matthew Vaughn, I know he can do better with Kingsman series. That's like apex of action sequences. It's a lot to ask of a man to recreate something like that, but I was hoping for something a little bit more here. There's an action sequence on the train with Sam Rockwell. I think it was pretty good, pretty well choreographed and everything. That one was fine. But as it goes along, the action gets kind of worse and worse. Example one, the ice skating bit on the oil, that just did not
Oh.
work for me. I was like counting down the minutes. I was like, all right, let's I've suspended my disbelief long enough, good sir. Like, let's move this along. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it felt like that was trying to be their church scene
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, this is gonna be crazy. Like, Because as far as action goes, it could work, but it just was kind of weird. Like, oh, skating on oil, slicing them with whatever.
They specifically say they're shooting all this oil and it goes all over the place. And they're like, you can't shoot, otherwise it'll all go up in flames. And so she puts knives down on the ground and stomps on them with her combat boots and starts skating around. And there's sparks flying everywhere. I was like, hold on. You told me, you set this logic up that if there's sparks, everything will go up in flames. And I'm looking at sparks right now. So you can't sit there and tell me that this isn't going to go up in
That's
flames. So,
that's what
like,
I was thinking the same thing.
I have another note here. I never thought for 1 second that they had a real cat on set.
Yeah.
Some of the worst cat CGI. And I even wrote, Meet the Fockers did it. Why can't you? So it's like, well, I spend all that money on one of the worst CGI cats I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, that was very distracting for me. So at times, some of the CG was like, and I don't want to dog on any CGI artists. Corridor Crew taught me that, there's good people out there. It's just the studio's mandates.
Mhm.
But yeah, some of those scenes, I was just like, oof, ugh, ugh. Thanks for watching these highlights from our episode of the Stale Popcorn Podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode, click on the link in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you do that with your favorite YouTuber, I'm sure they would appreciate it too. Thanks, and have a great day.